The Snyderverse is gone. The new guard of James Gunn and Peter Safran are creating a new DC movie universe. Let's talk about that. Now, I don't make it a secret that I dislike the Snyderverse. I will admit, though, that it's super weird to see how strange it's been watching DC fumble around for the past decade. Like, you would think if they gave Snyder the power to make a universe, they would have at least followed through on it, right? I will say that I think Snyder was done dirty with the whole Justice League fiasco, though. Like, that was rough. I think I lost any shred of respect I had for Whedon or the WB execs when they butchered Zack's movie and disrespected Ray Fisher on top of all of that. First and foremost, I believe in letting directors create the movie that they want to create, even if I don't like it. Good directors have made bad movies, bad directors have made good movies. Whether that's because of management or personal vision issues, I think they should be able to see their creation through. Now that that's out of the way, I'm just really excited to see what James Gunn has in store for DC. He's shown that he could put an emotional core to pretty much any superhero movie he's made, and I think we desperately need that going forward. The DCU, or DCEU as it's been called, has been kind of a mess, and it's honestly a laughingstock when we have Marvel cranking out billion-dollar movies, and even Sony is being some of the best Spider-Man movies that are making some pretty good money. We're not talking about you Morbius, Craven, or El Muerto, whatever. In this video, I want to talk about what stories featuring these monolithic heroes mean to the general public and what I personally would like to see in the first phase of the new DCU. I think the most important thing in DC is Superman. You're welcome to disagree with me and think it's Batman, but I think in today's day and age, we are sorely missing a non-brooding and hopeful superhero. I remember the days of watching the Raimi Spider-Man movies and thinking about how cool Spider-Man was. He was just a guy. Now that I'm an adult and I've read thousands and thousands of single comic book issues, I can safely say the same applies to Superman. Like I said in the So You Want to Read Superman video, Superman has all the power in the world but still chooses to view himself as a man from Kansas. Having this simple understanding of the character will go a long way. If we can simply have a hopeful Superman that breathes optimism into the other Justice League members, I think DC can make something really special. Imagine we have a Batman who's a skeptic and believes that redemption is unlikely for criminals and has this pessimistic worldview to start, and then we could have Superman challenge that, eventually wearing down the walls that Batman puts up. You can have him positively influence other heroes. I think one thing that the MCU sorely lacks is the relationship building between these characters. I truly don't feel like the Avengers really like each other. Even things like Vision and Wanda's relationship just feels kind of forced without proper time to build up. I want DC to have character moments that can be remembered. Sure, some of it might be campy, but we're also talking about heroes in tights. Don't be afraid to have some more fun with this universe. Another important thing that needs to be mentioned is that it's high time we actually properly credit these comic book creators. I'd love to see a brain trust of sorts with big names of people who have written these types of stories before. This would allow also greater synergy between the comic and the film industries, and it goes without saying that we should also not force like a half dozen projects a year, because not only does that crunch the production crews, but they also get paid less as opposed to non-comic book movie studios. Now, I want to go over what I think would be a great starting lineup for the Justice League and how we should build up a phase 1 of sorts for this new DCU. I'll be rapid firing these, so let's go. First up, I think we should have something called Superman: A Better Tomorrow. This will be the younger Superman that James Gunn has been talking about, and I would personally love to see the Elite be the main enemy featured here, just to kind of combat that modern cynicism that kind of surrounds Superman. Next up, I would love a Batman and Robin movie. It's high time that we finally just see either Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, any of the Robins just make an appearance on the big screen, and I think it would be cool to see kind of an older Batman again. Like, I really like the potential of Batfleck, but just seeing someone else take over that mantle now. Next up would be a Green Lantern Corps movie that set up the grand space opera, much like Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. I think it would be really cool to explore all these different planets, and honestly, I would kind of want to see the majority of the movie take place off the Earth. Next up would be a Flash movie. I would personally love to see kind of the campier characters like Gorilla Grodd or someone like that be the main enemy. Even though it's Wally West in the Justice League Unlimited show, I would personally love to see Barry Allen kind of take on the more little brother-esque role that Wally has in the JLU show. Next up, I would also love to see a Green Arrow and Black Canary movie. I would love to see just kind of more street level, because while Batman can fight these more fantastical villains like, you know, Dr. Freeze or Clayface or anything like that, I would love to see Black Arrow and Green Canary kind of take on these like street level, you know, drug dealer, Black Mask types of criminals. And then the last movie that I think we should probably have in this phase 1 would be a Justice League versus the Legion of Doom. Now, I think that we've been sorely missing a lot of these more campy kind of villains and just kind of like the really comic booky aspects of these comic book movies. And I think if we just had a full-on Justice League versus Legion of Doom movie, not something like Tower of Babel, because I think that's too early, but I do think that it could be really fun just to see people like Wonder Woman go up against Cheetah, or Superman just going up against Lex Luthor and like his giant mech suit. I just think It would be so fun to watch, and I really can't wait to see, because I kind of think James Gunn might go for something like this. Alright, and what I'm thinking for the actual Justice League lineup, kind of like our first one, would be Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. We would have the Trinity. I would also like to see Wonder Woman be introduced in the Justice League movie again. Then we would have Hal Jordan's Green Lantern. Then we would have Barry Allen's Flash. Then Green Arrow, Black Canary, and then we would toss Aquaman in there as well, probably also getting introduced through the newest Justice League movie. And of course, at the end, as the rest of this universe keeps building, I would love to see people like Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, Hawkgirl, Hawkman, all that stuff. I would love to see them just kind of expand this huge roster that DC has. Now, needless to say, I'm wicked excited for what James Gunn has planned for the future of DC. I'm certainly more optimistic about DC than I felt in years. We can finally see true adaptations of these gods amongst men, and I am pumped. Now, as I already said, this video will probably be outdated in like a week. But once the new DCU slate is published, I'll be happy to make some more videos about the upcoming projects and what I think will come out of the DC universe. You've been wonderful. I've been Jared. See you next time.